So now you come back and you wonder, what were these birds? I don't know much about birds, how can I see them? But as you probably saw, just even now with the black outlines, you could already actually recognize some characteristics of those birds. And in birding circles, something like that is called GIS, which stands for General Impression of Shape and Size, which I personally think it's a bit a limiting description, because there's much more than shape and size. But that's what people call it, and if they talk about general bird identification, the word GIS, spelled in many different ways, will often pop up there. So let's now put all those birds together here. Let's say you come back to the lodge and you say, what birds did you see? Somebody asked, and they said, well, I saw this one bird that looked like a pigeon. I would assume most of you would have recognized that the third bird from the left is actually looks like some kind of pigeon or a dove. And there was one that looked a bit like a skinny parrot, but with a much smaller beak, the one on the left, for instance. And there was one that looked like an eagle of some kind, and then one, I'm not sure what it was, but it looked like they had quite long tail streamers. So you see, even in picking up those silhouettes, for each of the birds you've already identified a small characteristic, and that can help you in already identifying what family it belongs to, or what species, or what kind of bird it actually is, even if you don't know anything yet about the color or other things. So, if you look at the left column here, I'm not sure actually where I should point now, but anyway, I think you can just read it on the screen, that's probably the easiest. What we said in GIS was the shape and the size, and that's what we've shown you in the black and white pictures. But there's a lot more if you can see. You can look at the bill, the shape of the bill, even the color of the bill can often give a good indication. The legs of the bird can be quite different. If you look at a big eagle, it's got quite strong legs with big talons. Some of the lapwings or other birds, they have quite long, thin legs. Some birds have really distinguishing color in legs, so there's another thing that you can look at that. And then the general colors of the feathers. Birds, one of the nice things about birds is that they have so many colors, and also that they have the coloration and patterns in the feathers, so that can help in identifying them as well. That personally is a bit difficult for me because I'm a little bit colorblind, so especially the red and the brownish ones, for me all become LBJs, which is often referred to as little brown jobs. They all look a bit similar, so that can be quite a challenge. But other things, for some birds, they have a very distinguished call that's very recognizable. We'll discuss one of them in one of our examples. And then another thing to look out for generally is what is the bird doing? It is behavioral pattern, because that can also give an indication of what kind of bird it is. And then where do you see it? Is it in a dense forest? Is it an open grassland? And in which part of South Africa do you see it? Because some similar birds occur, but then one bird would only occur maybe in the east of the country and the other one in the west. So those are all things to look out for, and even if you just see a small glimpse, you probably won't get all of them, but even with some of them you will already be able to at least zoom in on the bird that you want to identify. For instance, have a look at, I just cut off the heads of those birds now, figuratively speaking of course, but you can see they have very different bills, all of them, apart from the size of them. If you look at starting from the left, that looks a bit like a small parrot bill, and that's something that can be used even to crack nuts or to break open little things. The second one behind that is a little pointy but quite a strong bill, and that's typically a bill that insect eaters have, because they can crack the outer shell of the insect or possibly scorpions that they catch. The third one is the pigeon or the dove, and you can see that it's a thin bill. It's not meant to break open hard things, but it's more to pick out seeds and to pick out bread and all little things. And then the one on the right, of course, is a very strong and heavy pointed beak that can be used to tear flesh off, which is from a bird of prey. So there are lots of things that you can already determine, even if you've just seen a glimpse of the bird and you maybe see what the bill looks like. So that's the way that you slowly, by adding little characteristics, you can zoom in on which bird it is. And sometimes you don't get further than, okay, no, it was a pigeon, but you don't know which one it was. But that's fine, because knowing that it's a pigeon already tells you a lot about that bird, because pigeons are grouped as a group of birds because they have a lot of similar behaviors. Each species will still have a little different one, but you can tell a lot about a bird already by knowing its family. So the 4 birds that we're gonna use as an example and tell you a little bit more about are the grey go-away bird, the Cape turtle dove, the lilac-breasted roller, and the bateleur. Those are actually also the birds that you shown we were shown the silhouettes of. Okay, so let's quickly move on and start with the first of those birds. Now, if you would have looked at the names of those birds earlier, which one would you pick that this one was? I think it would be quite obvious that you would say this, the grey go-away bird, because first of all, the name grey is in the name of the bird. And personally, I like bird names that say something about the bird. Like if for instance you have the giant eagle owl, that's one of the biggest owl there is, and the word says it like that. Or you have the black eagle, which is an eagle, but it is a very dark-colored one, obviously. That helps in identifying them. There's a tendency sometimes nowadays with bird names to name them after the person that discovered them. So now the giant eagle owl has become Verreaux's eagle owl, and the black eagle has become Verreaux's eagle, which I'm personally not a big fan of that, because it doesn't really say anything about the bird. It's more to honor the person that discovered it, which might be right, but I prefer a name to say something about the bird itself. Well, okay, that is an aside. So, coming back to the grey go-away bird, or old name was a grey lory. Why is it called go-away bird? And here we come to some birds. The call is very distinctive. At the moment I don't have any bird calls to play for you. I do have them on my computer and other things, but I don't have the copyright to them, so I can't play them now over this channel. So I was thinking how to get around that, and maybe I should just try to do an imitation of that. I'm going out on a limb here, and maybe it's not going to be a very good one, but I'll give it a try. So this go-away bird, the sound that it makes is a little bit like grey, grey, which in English, with a little bit of imagination, you could construe to sound like go away. And that's why it's called the go-away bird, instead of just normal lory. So that, in that sense, it's good because the name of the bird says actually something about the call of the bird. So as I say, grey go-away bird. One thing with bird names is that they keep changing sometimes because of new research, or some people think that maybe it's because then once everybody's got a field guide and they change the bird names, everybody has to buy another one. I personally think it's mostly the research, but well, you never know. One thing that typically does not change really much is the scientific name, sometimes called Latin name, but sometimes it's also from Greek. So I've just added those on. What I actually plan to do is this, all these visuals that I use, I'm going to post them in some form in the forum as well, so you can always look them back.